Well, there it is, Nate and I getting some stuff in. Thank you guys for joining us here at Cricket Across America. We appreciate you guys. It's been a minute, Nate, so we just had to get all buddy before we jump back in. But how you doing, my man?
Doing great. It's been an exciting finish to the year in cricket across the USA. A lot of leagues that featured Americans to close it out. A lot of players who ended the year on a strong foot, who are still playing right now, actually. And we've got a lot to look forward to next year. But, man, what a great year this was.
It is phenomenal. We kind of talked about it in 2023. Didn't have as much cricket as we would have liked. And in 2024, we definitely got the cricket we were looking for. We also thank you guys for tuning in every single week. We do this. We know it's been a minute. I've been off in Argentina. Nate's been out with the family man over here. So we've kind of struggled to get this going. But we're back. One final show in 2024. And we want you to be involved, so please leave comments. Nate is going to be checking those all throughout. We have no bobber bye today, so you're stuck with me trying to direct this broadcast. Not going to say it's going to work, but I'm going to do my very best to try and direct the broadcast. Anyway, what we did this year, instead of deciding, okay, we're going to do an award show, we just felt there was too much good stuff that we felt the award show wasn't going to cut it. Well, we weren't going to get to talk about everything.
No, we got to tell the story of the year. And it was, award show didn't tell the story. We looked at, and there was one event in the year that really dominated all of them.
I wonder what the event was, guys. I wonder if we're ever going to talk about this event.
It was hard to give awards to anything outside of that Pakistan game.
What Pakistan game? What are you talking about?
Right. So we wanted to tell the story of the year. A wonderful year in cricket in the USA, an exciting year. And looking back, my goodness, I can't even believe it.
It is quite unbelievable. It's hard to fathom what's happened this year. But let's start all the way back. So let's rewind, take it all the way back to 12 months ago, to 11 months ago rather. We're going to start with January, February. We're going to combine them. Didn't have as much cricket as maybe we would have wanted, but we had a historic month of cricket. Nate, our under-19 men, they went into the under-19 World Cup down in South Africa. First time it's happened in a very long time.
Yeah, and we saw some wonderful performances from some of our youngsters, and it was pretty cool. Dane Pete was down there preparing for his own test cricket down there in South Africa. So he sent us a couple of videos of the guys on the bus and things like that when he saw their bus passing through. But my gosh, that was a major stage. Yeah. We looked at that team and we saw some great performances from a few of the guys, Arya Garg, Utkarsh, Nadkarni. We saw some wonderful stuff, some promising stuff from USA. And most importantly to me is at the end of the tournament, I felt like they played their hearts out. You know, we didn't see them get worse and worse and worse. We saw them spike up a little bit at the end.
Yeah, and it felt like they wanted to compete, and they wanted not just to be there, but they wanted to try to put their mark. They didn't catch a win in the tournament, but that's all right. Your first time back, and you're not really anticipating winning a whole lot. What you are anticipating is the fire and the competitive nature that each one of those boys carries. And when you see Arya Garg with the big celebrations, you see Utkarsh batting the way he does, you're seeing a team be confident in the way they play cricket, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and we saw a little glimpse of the future of the men's team and the men's A team, which we'll get to soon.
Absolutely. Well, that's January and February. Not a whole lot happened, but just enough to keep you kind of mouth-watering, craving some more before we jump into what happened later on the year. Samars, we thank you guys in there in the comments. Hey guys, do you have any information on the Audi Cup and the North America Cup? What will be the format of these tournaments? He's referencing what happened in the last AGM from USA Cricket. Right. We don't have any more information than that, but we've been clamoring for an Audi Cup pretty consistently, haven't we?
We have been, and it's exciting that potentially one is on the horizon. It's very exciting. It's definitely a tournament. We love this rivalry between USA and Canada. I'd like to see it swap back and forth every year. Morrisville one year, maybe Brampton, and the next year.
Yeah, like an Ashes kind of vibe, That'd be awesome. A Border Gavaskar Trophy,
something like that. Yeah, what would we call it?
The Audi Cup.
Nitish Kumar.
The
It is the Cup.
It's the Audi Cup, dude. But if we are going to rebrand, the Nitish Kumar Trophy has a good ring to it, doesn't it?
I like it, yeah.
All right, well, we don't know when that's going to be, but let's focus on March. Let's move on to March. Again, nothing crazy happened in March, but one of our favorite things here at Big Innings happened. It was the Ball and Play League. We didn't publish it in March, but we got to film it. And Nate, you were front and center, as you were always, rocking the pink shirt for the umpires.
Well, this time it was a purple shirt. But yeah.
That's the one mistake. Jimmy, we need it to be pink again.
No. I asked for it not to be pink this time, and for good reason. But yeah, the Ball and Play League, it's just something that happens on John Boy's YouTube, and it aired in June, but we recorded it in March, and it's a hybrid league, a cross between baseball and cricket, obviously. And there's some of our guys and some of the main influencers there in John Boy Media. But yeah, it's just so much fun. I recommend everybody check it out. We're gonna do it again this year, obviously. There's some Seattle Orcas gear being modeled by some of the influencers, which was really cool.
I love the John Boy folks. They're hilarious, really, isn't it?
They are, and it was really cool that Seattle sent that gear for these guys. Everybody loved it and ate it up.
And it was good because one of their players was the star of the show, Hamad Azam.
That's right.
He ended up being the whole kind of the big fish outside of Cheyenne Jahangir, who made his name as the villain and came back to win it as a substitute late.
Cheyenne didn't show up very much in the game.
He showed up in the press conferences, and that's all that matters.
At the final, Father Shea did. But along the way, yeah, Hamad was great. All of the major leaguers were great. Justin Dill, Sanjay was incredible.
He showed off with the off cutter, the screwballs, if you will. Yeah,
that's right, and that's gonna happen again here. It'll be recorded probably again around the same time. But who knows when it'll launch this year?
Love it. Can't wait to see that in action, Nate. Hopefully you're back there umpiring. We got Melinda Farrell there this year. We've seen in the past Darren Sammy be a part of the broadcast alongside Chris Rose, who what's he not doing? He's doing the MLB. He did the Patriots game this past Saturday, so his voice is everywhere. So that's
great
an electric
call too from him. It's a good call.
Phenomenal. It was a bad game, so phenomenal call. Well done from him. But that's March. Again, nothing crazy, but just enough to keep you looking for more. And then in April, you get just this little nugget that makes you really excited for the later months. That man on your screen. Who is that? Well, that's Stuart Law. He was officially hired in April. Was it?
I think so. Somewhere around that.
He was brought into USA Cricket in some kind of stance within this April month, and that was a really big thing looking at May, June, July, and the rest of the calendar year for men's cricket.
Yeah, it was huge, and we also had that wonderful Canada sweep, the 4-game T20 series. We got a preview of the T20 World Cup squad in April. That was fun to watch. PVCC, I'll tell you what, it gives you a good home field advantage. I still want to see the Audi Cup here, but I think we could make a big mark in the Audi Cup at PVCC.
Well, also in April, we had the Women's Tri-Series. They were over there playing. It was Scotland and was it PNG? Or was
PNG,
yeah, Scotland and PNG. It was... the ODI structure there is not as, let's say, well set up in terms of in the men's system, you get a double round robin for every tour, so you get to play each member twice. Here was just a single match, wasn't able to find the right end of the win column, but valuable experience getting to play over in the Middle East.
Yeah, big time. It's these girls, their first ODI. So they got a good taste of it. Didn't bring home a win, but just 2 games, and it helped them build up for the rest of the year.
And what I don't want to sweep over the rug is that in March we also did have the MLC draft, which was a lot of fun, different than what it was in 2023.
That's right, yeah.
But it still provides the same kind of the big moments, right? Didn't it? Josh Tromp going in the first round for $75,000. That's the big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah, that draft is always exciting, but yeah, all of this was building up to a lot of anticipation.
It was, and the anticipation only grew as we continue to jump in, especially in May, because we had that warm-up series with Bangladesh. Again, a full member, and it wasn't even close, and it was thanks to really this partnership in Game 1.
Yeah.
A heroic 33 from Harmeet Singh. It was a partnership from Corey Anderson and Harmeet Singh that just saved the game, took us over the line, and then Bangladesh never got a sniff. It was a 4-0, and then the 1 no result, but it was like Stuart Law came in, and this team's just firing at a different level.
Yeah, this was incredible. You were right. This partnership, it really showed. We know the identity of these players, and it really showed it off. And from that point on, the USA looked very, very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, like I said, PBCC gives a team a good home field advantage, so to speak. But man, the guys they gave us a lot of hope for heading into the World Cup. Beating Bangladesh, a full member in a series at home, it gave the guys a lot of confidence. Clearly, heading into the World Cup, and man, I don't think you could have headed into it on a bigger high than that.
And the big thing about the Canada series and then the Bangladesh series was it was a lot of those individuals' first time in USA colors. Think about a guy like Nitish Kumar, Harmeet Singh, Corey Anderson, Andres Kraus. These guys are finally getting added into the side after becoming eligible, and now you're starting to gain the rewards of the hard work MLC did in getting those guys over here, getting them properly playing in minor league cricket or major league cricket. And you see what they do on an international stage. It's never easy. You don't see guys come into associate cricket and just dominate. And it just seemed to not matter in the USA.
No, and then you also had them integrating with the guys who've been here a long time, guys who've been in the squad a long time, very valuable USA cricketers. Saurabh, you've got Nash Kanjage, who was really his first time in the T20 side in a while, but he'd always been a fixture in the ODIs team. It was just really exciting. We had a lot of questions about him. Who are they going to put in the team? A lot of questions that are problems that are good to have, so to speak.
I think you could have had 11 people lined up and said, "Give me your 11 for USA versus Bangladesh series or the World Cup," and you could hand it all the way down to all 11 people and probably get 11 different lineups.
Yeah,
that's how much depth, how much talent was available, and then that same mix of, like you said, the experienced associate cricketers versus the new guys where it's a little bit tougher.
Yeah.
And it did just seem to gel so perfectly well. And I think one thing that a lot of folks will look at, if you look at scorecards, there's a lot of inexperience, with some of these guys in terms of international cricket. But they're vastly experienced, aren't they? Corey Anderson hadn't played international cricket in 3 years. But he's played in a World Cup. That just doesn't go away.
Right.
Harmeet Singh's played in an under-19 World Cup.
Yeah.
So you're seeing these guys utilize their experiences, and that was for me when I sat there and thought, this could be something special here.
Yeah, it was a glimpse. It was a look at, hey, minor league's working. Hey, our system here in the USA is working out well. We're producing good cricketers. That was excellent to me to see that. Yeah, because we've got Grand Prairie, we've got Prairie View, we got all these venues we didn't have 4 or 5 years ago. We've got all this infrastructure growth, and along with it, the development of our players. And the big question was, will these guys gel together? And they've played so much cricket together over the years. It really was a silly question.
It really was. And again, for me, I looked at the series with a much brighter context, only because we saw what Canada was doing to prepare, wasn't it? You see sponsor here, warm-up series there. This 11 just kind of set in. Coach Bubadu Desanayake was just doing wonderful things there, and you're like, that we have to open the tournament against Canada.
Yeah.
What are we going to do on home soil if we get beat by Canada just because they are out-prepared us? It's just going to be a tough look. And again, the Canada series, I think, gave every American fan hope that, okay, it's not the same wicket that we're going to play on, but this is a side that has a lot of potential to really do some big things.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that just gives a nice appetizer for the main course.
Yeah, it does. And while we go through this, guys, again, we want to hear from you, and it's so great when we can get comments in there. Mention your favorite moments of 2024, any questions, any comments, any concerns. We're here to answer. We're here to help. And even if you just want to ask about our day or anything like that, we're here to
We're chatty
answer.
guys.
Exactly. We have a podcast, for God's sake. We just want to talk to you. But let's go to June. This is the main course. You mentioned it. We got the appetizers, the first 5 months of the year, all building for this single moment. Because we have the men's T20 World Cup. And yeah, that picture on your screen, that's the moment, isn't it? The USA beat Pakistan. We beat Canada opening day. We beat Pakistan in a super over. We take India all the way to the wire up in New York.
Yep.
We get the washout against Ireland, so that means we're headed to the Super 8s. We nearly get through South Africa. We, hang around to the end of the tournament. But we had this magical run led by that man on your screen, Saurabh Mittervalkar, and get some international headlines.
Yeah, it was something really special. It was the culmination of years and years of progress for men's cricket around the USA. And we know so many people who were a big part of this. And so it was really special to see these fellas on this stage do what they did. That first game against Canada, so good. But we had just swept Canada, and all of a sudden, they're scoring 190 runs against us.
It was just a tournament unlike anything you'd ever seen. And that was the whole tagline, wasn't it? It was supposed to be something we have never seen.
It was.
And it truly was. The 20 associates, the 20 sides, and then you include the associate members that just leveled everything out. It really was just beyond compare.
No, yeah, absolutely. It totally was. And we had a fun little role to play in it, too. You had a bigger role.
I think they're little roles to begin with, but I think there were so many great people around the World Cup from every role in the world. You were fantastic on the PA. No, you were great. You didn't get a lot of opportunities.
I'm no Joe Hickey. But
Joe was phenomenal up in New York as well.
I heard so much praise for him.
Oh, my God.
And he deserved that.
And that was the cool thing, because there's this community and ecosystem of cricket in the States that's been built up.
Yeah.
You knew so many people in so many places. Jamie Lloyd was up in New York. Julie Abbott was down in Florida with us at times.
Yeah.
Emily Reynolds was up in New York.
In Florida a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we had Tom Dunmore was around.
Daniel Beswick.
Yeah, it was great. I finally met Daniel Beswick for the first time. That was cool. Andrew Leonard was around. Peter Del Penna.
Yeah.
I mean, just this it was just kind of the Avengers
and
of the American cricket. PJ. Of course PJ was going to be there.
Yeah.
But it was almost like the Avengers of the American cricket scene just kind of coming together. And it's just a cool moment. It was a really cool moment in a country that it's not a mainstream sport, and yet somehow we broke through just the normal folks we get to.
Yeah.
And it was all over Instagram, all over TikTok, and dominated headlines. It was such a cool thing.
And John Boy got to be on commentary. Which was great. But yeah, there was the thing that really stood out to me was the amount of people that it takes to make that tournament work. The amount of people that work, that are involved. We got our picture taken at the end with our group, with the group that was involved in the production for the people at the stadium. You were the MC and I was the ground announcer, but we were one of or two of 200-300 people that were just there for that. Doesn't count the broadcast.
It was just an entertainment photo, and we had to get a ladder, a wide lens to even get a chance to get all of us, and we were dead center on the wicket.
We were just the event staff.
We were just the event staff, so that's entertainment, media, anyone that's involved in those kinds of roles, security, And I don't even think that involves some of the mascots. I don't think got there in time, and the folks dealing with them. It was so much happening, and I was really grateful to be a part of it. I know you were incredibly grateful to be a part of it as well, and just get to experience that firsthand, because it's not something that happens every day. We have no idea when the next time the World Cup's coming back to the States.
And then you get to the action, the actual action, which is what everybody wants to hear about.
Yeah.
But like we get to the action and how good the guys did and how they represented this community that we're proud to share,
100%.
that we're proud to display. And everybody was present. Like we had that game against Pakistan. I say this so many times, but literally everyone contributed in that game.
Yeah.
12 players contributed in that game itself, and then the entire team and the whole nation contributed to get them ready for that game. But that one game. I mean, right from Stephen Taylor's grab on, incredible.
And we needed moments like those. And as an underdog, you need those moments to go your way. They just seem to continue to go their way. That's actually a great segue into a comment here. Z, another big find of 2024, isn't it? It's a good old 1709 cricket. Great content. We'll get to that later. But he said the Super 8 started off promising versus South Africa. Then we saw what happened against the West Indies and England. I was at both matches. What is your guys' take on what happened, and what can we learn from it? Well, I was at both those matches as well. And I tell you what, the West Indies-USA game was, in my opinion, the best atmosphere of the entirety of the World Cup. It beat the World Cup final in my eyes. Friday Night Lights, West Indies home crowd, unbelievable. And what I think happened was just that at some point, the talent's going to give out. We just didn't have enough players in form and contributing regularly, right? The reason we beat Pakistan was every single member of that team found a way to contribute. Then Monant goes down.
Sure.
Shayan Jahangir and Milind Kumar struggling to find runs.
Yeah.
Shadley Ben Skolpik hasn't really played too consistently in the tournament. Jesse Singh was finding his, it was just a lot of burden put on Sarabin Volga, put on Andres Kraus.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough players playing at the form that they were playing to start the tournament.
We got to the Super 8, which was the big the big task.
Yeah.
Because now we're in the next World Cup.
100%.
I think, we ran out of steam. It's tough going into a tournament with 14, and when you're one of the host nations, you don't really get to travel with your traveling reserves.
Yeah.
So they're not there with you. I think we ran out of guys, basically, it seemed like to me. That South Africa game showed what we're capable of. Yeah. And then South Africa did a similar game in the final, and they couldn't hold on.
Right. Yeah. It is tough, right? Because you just feel like there's probably a little bit more left in the tank.
Yeah.
But I think we have to think about this in context. There was never a chance in a group of India, Pakistan, Ireland, and us that we were the side, and Canada, that we were the side that would come along out with the World Cup champions.
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to be us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That group was, everyone has written there. You have India, who's the number one T20I team in the world,
right,
and then Pakistan, who was just one game short of a T20 World Cup 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Those are the two teams going to the Super 8s in that group.
Yeah, everyone thinks so.
And then somehow we're the team that gets there.
Because we're good.
Because we're good, right? We found a way to play,
yeah,
and then we pushed the eventual runners up into a game where they easily could have lost. So
yeah,
I think we have to take this with a grain of salt as well. There was never expectation for us to win the World Cup. And I think if you had those expectations, you're a bigger believer than I am, right? Yeah. But we saw how good we are and how good we can be.
And what can we learn from it? We can learn that these once you get to those Super 8s, it's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother level. And I think we can learn a lot from that experience. I don't know exactly what. I'm not smart enough. But yeah, anyways, check out Z's content on 1709 Cricket YouTube. We did a breakdown with him this weekend that he's been publishing in as a series, or as a series, and he just published the second of the series today. Check that out as the top 64 men's accomplishments of 2024.
It was great.
In T20.
No, it was a spread across.
Oh, no, it was
spread across all formats.
Yeah, my fault. It was suspense.
It felt like it was in T20 because of how much the World Cup was part of it, but there were some great moments on there. It was a good time.
Yeah.
And Z's phenomenal for what he does for cricket in the USA. Highly recommend you go give him a follow. You probably already follow him. I don't know why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Maybe give us a follow after you've given him the follow as well. But that's June.
Well, there's one more thing that happened in June.
What else happened in June, Nate? Tell us.
Because we had such great performances from guys like Aaron, who everyone always thought he was just a really good ODI player.
Yep.
And then he actually took the game away from Canada, and then he helped us into the the Super Over, and then he won the Super Over.
And then he hit Azar Joseph for maybe one of the biggest sixes I've ever seen in the Kensington Oval.
He hit the guy that would have been maddest about that the furthest. And that takes a lot of guts. But yeah, Aaron, because of this performance, he gets himself drafted in the supplemental draft on June 25th.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, gets to go to Seattle Orcas, and the Orcas will say, "Oh, great, we get to bring him back for a third of the cost of what we picked him." But he gets to get back into Major League, which was the right thing to begin with.
Because if you'll remember 2023, to contextualize this, 2023 he was selected by the Orcas. He didn't appear in a game. He was dropped from the team, wasn't retained.
Yep.
He was put back in the draft. He wasn't drafted in that late March draft. And so his status as a Major League player was in question until he performed like he did on the world stage, on the grandest stage of all.
And how interesting was that too? Because I remember having our chats with a couple of folks and sitting there saying, some of the guys on our team aren't even shoo-ins in the Major League roster. They were talking about guys like Aaron Jones, talking like guys like Aaman Patel, Jesse Singh, or Stephen Taylor, and all of them come up with performances that say, yeah, we can play Major League Cricket, and each one of them were able to do something really special in both tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. It was tremendous.
All right, well, speaking of Major League, let's head over to July, because that's what it was all about. It was time to see what these guys could do. Those were the captains, and we got, Harmeet Singh didn't captain the side, but Corey Anderson, the man over to his right, the left of your screen, he's the first domestic captain in the history of Major League Cricket, sitting alongside the greats of that league. And God, what a league it was.
It's a lot of superstars, and that's a lot of sunglasses too.
They love the Sunnies. The
the
Sunnies have
Sunnies.
gotten bigger and they've gotten more consistently on the heads. I think you're only seeing a guy like Steve Smith with them all.
You expect to see Australians with the Sunnies, for sure.
All right, let's throw this picture back up. Did Steve Smith have the Sunnies?
He doesn't.
Steve Smith didn't have them on.
Doesn't have them on.
And you know what's funny enough? His nearest neighbor, Corey Anderson, didn't have them on. So maybe you don't expect. Maybe Travis Head has corrupted the mind over here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Corey, he's American now.
There you go.
So, yeah, he's used to that Texas sun, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't have to bother him. But what a tournament this was. It was different, right? It was the first time this league was split up.
Yeah.
Right? Last year was all about we're all in Dallas, then we're all in Morrisville, and then we're back to being in Dallas. This year was 2 teams, 2 crews of staff, of media, of events to handle both venues, and teams are traveling back and forth and added that little bit of an element to proceedings. We've seen Major League 2023, seen in 2024. What are your takes this year compared to last?
Oh, I think it was the biggest thing to me was our domestics really stood up a lot more in this one, and in this edition of Major League Cricket, and also the teams that had the best performing domestics had the most success. We're starting to see the formula you need to have. Washington improved their overseas roster tremendously. They really, they brought in some unbelievable T20 stars, and I think that was the biggest thing to me was it was a great step in the right direction. Everything about it was an improvement, I believe. Yeah,
speaking of improvements, those nets there at Grand Prairie, and you see the nets happening over at Church Street Park as well. It's just phenomenal to see these things. That's a Church Street Park. Like that's something you wouldn't have had. The hill was still vibrant as ever to get to see guys like Heinrich Clausen. But you're absolutely right. I think the story was all about those domestics you were talking about, seeing guys and the young guys, really in particular, start to show their class as well. Sanjay Krishnamurtis of the world. Josh Trump gets selected in the first round. High scrutiny there. Comes in the middle order and scoring half centuries and knockouts. Anand Desai taking 2 wickets straight away in his debut. Rushilu Garkar impressing. Heath Richards a boundary away off Haris Rauf playing hero and spoiler. There were so many good young performers.
Ali Sheikh with that great catch over point.
Oh, do you remember when he ran over to the boundary? There was no way he was going to save any runs there. He somehow has run to the boundary through cover.
Right.
He's dove maybe 10 yards, slid, thrown the ball back 20 yards to the closest fielder, who's then relayed the ball back in, and I think it might have inflicted a run out. I don't think it actually did, but I think it was close enough to doing so. And Andrew Leonard was just raving about that the whole time.
Well, Leonard's gonna love that type of play.
100%.
That's right up his alley. But yeah, we had some tremendous performances. Obviously, the two Australian-led teams were in terms of their general management of the team. And they made it to the final. They're the teams that had the 2 best performances from the domestics. One of the guys that really stood up, we had a situation where Saurabh, who's been the star of the league, been the star of American cricket for 2024, he misses some time with a family issue. And they bring in Jesse Singh, who had not been drafted. And Jesse immediately just goes off. He was incredible.
How good was he when you think about, like you said, he wasn't someone who was consistently getting into games. He wasn't even on a team.
Right.
And then he comes in, and his spell against Kyron Pollard for me was just phenomenal. On a length, jagging it in and out, and then getting one away, and then one fuller that jags back in and beats him through the gate. He was just bowling at a level I hadn't seen Jesse Singh bowl at.
Yeah, it was one of the best balls he's ever delivered. That's for sure. He was just sensational. And honestly, everybody for that Washington team, all the domestics stood up, and they played a role in taking that team to the final and beyond. And also San Francisco, my goodness.
Speak about San Francisco and how good they were. Sanjay Krishnamurti, Hassan Khan, those are 2 of the reasons why they were anywhere near the conversation. Carmine LaRue. Brody Couch when LaRue was out for a little bit.
Look at that one.
But
that was one of my favorite shot of the whole thing.
It was just special to see this young kid, the smile on his face, and then Andre Scarl, seeing him consistent. It was so good to see how the domestics stand up the way they did and just at the level in which they did. It's
Yeah.
a couple Travis Head,
Oh, he
Pat
was amazing.
Cummins.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't get better than that. But
No.
I think our domestics looked well in play.
And there's that Oba Spinar making space with his legs like he likes to do, and he gets the bouncer up high and he takes it. Look at this. Forward point, no problem. I'm going to hit this for 6. But yeah,
And
there's that
the ball.
Jesse ball.
There's the Jesse ball. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you want to close it. And the emotion there, it just means everything. And this was, a special tournament for me as well. To be a part of the broadcast crew was just special. I mean, it's a dream come true. And we got some more comments in there. And that is a dream come true in itself.
Yeah, we
isn't
like
it?
this. Sean does stuff.
There you go, Nate. Read it off. What do you say?
Sean does stuff. Sean's asking us, what do we think is the likelihood of the USA hosting a tour of another associate nation for ODIs and T20 series this year, either before or after the Major League season? I think that's lined up.
I think it's very high. I don't think there's anything officially on the books, but I think there is very high chance within the first 2 quarters of the year, so the first half of the year, that there's a tour coming
I would
to the
think
USA.
that it's pretty likely. I would think so. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time that
yeah.
they've got. You'd love to see it. Who would I most like us to host? Would this be associate or full member?
He did say associate.
He said associate is first
Oh,
question.
and then after that. Okay, so let's do this. Give me 3 associates, give me 1 associate, 1 to 3, and then give me 1 to 3 full members.
Well, I think the associates, any of them.
Any of them.
I like seeing all of them here.
Yep.
Obviously, we just did Nepal.
I want them again. I don't care. I love the fan base that comes with Nepal games. I want them again.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think as far as full members go, who would I like to see us host?
I would love to see South Africa.
I want to see South Africa here.
I would love to see
That's
South
what
Africa.
You got it.
Because
you said it.
I think they would be more than willing to play here. The wickets would be conducive for them. They have the guys who've played in Major League before. Gerard Coetzee has been here.
You might see Dane back.
Dane might be back. Ryan Rickleton's played. They've got the guys that have been here. I would love to see South Africa here. I think the West Indies is a great shout for us. They play
That'd
a
be
lot
so
of white
cool.
ball cricket.
And we love their guys.
We're in the same region. They play in
Return
Major
of Hayden
League.
Walsh Jr.
Return of Hayden Walsh Jr. I think that's a great move for both sides. And what I also would hope and would like to see is that, okay, say there's a team coming to play the West Indies, right? Say England is coming back for a series against the West Indies, or Sri Lanka comes for a series against the West Indies. Stop by us. Play us for a little bit, then go down to the West Indies. Warm up with our USA side, and then go down. I would love to see us branch into that little hole.
Well, we got another question here. Samarth, he's asking, Team USA will only play 7 T20s next year. Will these be enough for preparation for the 2026 World Cup? Well, let's talk a little bit about 2023. When USA didn't play a single T20 the entire year, and we were crying about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we were beside ourselves, thinking, how can you possibly head into a World Cup without having played a single one? Let's just keep in mind how much T20 cricket we play in the USA. And yes, it's not the same as playing Australia or playing South Africa.
Right.
It's not the same as playing West Indies. But we play a lot of minor league cricket, a lot of T20 cricket, and Major League is happening also.
Yeah.
And I think, as long as we get the right guys playing, and a lot of these guys are playing in leagues around the world right now. We got Stephen Taylor playing in Bangladesh right now after he just played in the...
Aaron Jones just got signed into Bangladesh.
That's right, and this is after he just played in the Global Super League. We've got Sanjay Krishnamurthy playing in a lot of leagues. All of these guys are playing in a lot of leagues right now. I think 7 T20Is in the calendar year of 2025 to me sounds really great. That's compared to 2023. But I get your point, Samarth, and I think I'd like to see the more international T20s we have, the better.
And here's what I think the reason we're only seeing 7 T20Is, because 2026 is going to be so T20I focused that League Two has to happen at some point.
And we need to do well in League Two, and currently we're doing well.
And we're at the top of the table in League Two, so you're trying to carry momentum. You're trying to gain as many wins early as you can, so that coming off a T20I, say you have a tough World Cup, then if you don't fall out of League Two, because if you do finish at the bottom of League Two, you lose your ODI status. Your bottom two lose ODI status. That'd be a huge step back for the country and for the game. So, again, would I like to see more T20 cricket? Absolutely. What I love seeing is that any League Two series seems to have an accompanying T20 series to go alongside it, so that will always help. But I can understand the board wanting to really give it for League Two this year, and then towards the last quarter and the early quarter of 26, go really heavy into T20s.
And I got to say, just along the lines of that, I'm less concerned about USA's ability to perform internationally in the World Cup in T20 than I am in general about the fact that they don't play a lot of ODI. They don't play a lot of one-day cricket in general. Outside of the Cricket World Cup League Two, we don't have really any one-day cricket out except for the men's national championship,
100%.
which isn't even an annual thing.
Yeah.
So I think that the thing I'm more worried about right now is just staying near the top of that table in the ODI. And a third of the way through, we're in a good spot.
In a good spot, indeed. Let's move over to August now. We spent a good chunk of the time talking about June and July, as we should. Want to just mention Washington Freedom winning their first championship. Guys like Yasser Mohammed to see it.
Yeah.
It was cool to be that, to see Chelsea. Obviously, we have a connection with Obis Pinar.
Yeah.
Guys like Justin Dill, Ian Holland back, so that was cool.
Mukhtar did well.
Mukhtar did great. Lahidu Malanta was part of that team as well.
True.
So Saurabh, obviously, and that was cool to see that happen against a side that featured so many great domestics. And I can't wait to see what 2025 holds. Any predictions for 2025 in terms of Major League?
In terms of Major League, we're going to see some more. We're going to see some curious decisions, I think, in the retentions, because we had some curious decisions in the draft.
Yeah.
We had a lot of guys who went very expensive because the team needed that role. And I think a lot of times the teams aren't going to worry as much about, hey, this guy's overpaid or something like that. They need to have the right guys in the right roles. But we've got a situation where, what happens with Jesse Singh?
Yeah.
What happens with Justin Dill?
Right.
Both of them did well for Washington. We got
Ian Holland, right? How does he fit into the
How does Ian Holland fit in? We know Saurabh set.
Yeah.
This is also the third year of Major Leagues.
Right.
This is where those first year of drafts expire after this year. I think there's going to be a really exciting season of Major League Cricket, and we're going to see. I'd like to see. I really want to see Simon Kamala.
I think he's going to get in the game. I have a name to throw at you that I think is going to go pretty high in this year's draft. Sharad Lumbo, the Baltimore Royals, had an unbelievable minor league, showed the ability to play through the gears.
Right.
I think he's a name to watch for. I don't know what team's going to take him, but I do think that he's going to be one of the very early picks in this year's draft. Just watch, keep an eye out.
We'll talk more about that aspect in the minor league season too. When we get around to that, because that's a fun part.
That is a fun part. So let's continue to move on. Let's move in to August now, and we spent a lot of time talking about men's cricket, and there was a lot of men's cricket this year, but women's cricket, just as big of a deal, if not bigger of a deal, and they did have plenty of cricket as well. In August, we saw them hold two nationals. We had the women's nationals, where we saw the West team won, and you can see there the folks, the great individuals on that side, the folks of the likes of a Sahani Tadani, of a Gargi Bogle and company. And then you talk about the under-19 team won, the under-19 nationals, the green side won there. So it was kind of a mix of regions, had different folks on different sides, but it's always great to see that and to get to see him continue to play and play at a place like Grand Prairie with Brian Walters on commentary and Brian Kane umpiring. That's always a cool sign.
Our buddies, it's always fun to see the same faces. The women's nationals is an excellent thing. We need that. We have the U19 World Cup coming up, so this U19 nationals was pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. And that wasn't just the women's nationals, right? Again, to get that every year is so big, especially because we're headed into the under-19 Women's World Cup that's coming up, and we'll get into the squad for that later. But the men's team, they started to get back into international flow, started to get back into playing other associate countries. And before we jump into that, Samarth had another question, and we love you, Samarth, for asking all these. USA will play 12 Cricket World Cup League 2 games next year. Where will the team play the other 5 ODIs? So I assume he's asking where the team will play the other 5 ODIs. I'm not sure if you're thinking we're going to finish the cycle in this year, but we do have, this will be the second year of a cycle.
I think he means some of them have been announced and some of them haven't, I guess.
Interesting. So
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you want to clarify for us what exactly you're referring to in terms of if it's location-based or if you think they're trying to fit him in the calendar year, they do have to the back end of to the early stages of 2027 to finish off
Is it 2027 or is it the entirety of 2026? They might have a little
the entirety of 2026. Next year is 2025. I was getting a year ahead of myself.
Yeah.
So they had the entirety of 2026 as well to get the ODIs played
or
as well.
Some of 2026.
Yes. So let us know what you're kind of referring to, and then we'll be able to give you a more concise answer from there. But let's jump into some of that men's stuff from August, and we had so much action as they headed back into the Netherlands and getting into the flow against some of the top associate sides.
Yeah, we went over to the Netherlands, and this was the first international action since the World Cup, and didn't go so well as far as the results on the field.
Yeah.
2 losses to Netherlands, 1 win over Canada, and no result, and 1 win and 2 losses, and a no result in the T20 Eyes. But yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't a great way to start the Cricket World Cup League 2 campaign. At this particular point, if I remember correctly, Canada was atop the table.
Yes, they were.
I think 4-0 in their first series. Good for them. We want to see that competition. We want Canada to be in this table for a long time.
Well, they just got their ODI status back, right?
Yeah,
they had to fight back to get into the league, and so it's good to see them up top.
We want them to keep it, but not at the expense of us. And so USA at this point in time, this was their return to international cricket. A little bit underwhelming, but it set the stage for us to be extra happy the next month.
Yeah, it was, right? Stuart Law was getting back into the flow of things, and the side was getting back into the flow of things. And even though we didn't find the results on the field in August, I felt, at least personally, that we were doing the right things for a good amount of period of time, but we just weren't doing them for long enough. And I look at the 2 Netherlands losses we had. One was a T20, one was an ODI.
Right.
We should have won both.
Yeah.
We should have won both of those matches. But we just lost in the little periods because we dominated the majority of those games, and we just didn't do enough right things towards the end. We allowed the Netherlands to just bowl and take wickets, and we threw wickets away at the wrong times. We needed just to finish out the inning stronger, and for me, I sat there and said, okay, Netherlands right behind Scotland is probably the best associate side in the world at the moment, right? I think that, okay, we didn't beat them, but we probably played better cricket than them for most of the game.
Yeah.
That is something to build off of, and I think we're only going to get better from there.
And honestly, if you look at up and down this Cricket World Cup League 2 table, this is one of the reasons it's hard to predict. All the teams are good. There's a lot of good teams on here. There's not a team on here that USA can't beat. And there's not a team on here that can't beat USA, on their day.
Yeah.
So it's a tough table. You want to start the tournament off a little better than we did. But, from this point on, we got an awful lot of ODI cricket in.
We do.
For the year in just 6 months.
We did.
Or just 5 months, really.
Yeah, another comment down here in Damon Robinson. It says, both Netherlands games, U.S. played super flat. And I agree towards the back end of them. Again, there were moments to get ahead of the game, get on top of it, and we just let those slip. But I just felt those are coaching points. Those are opportunities to learn. And I did feel that come September, we were getting on to the right foot with the insertion of some new blood. Andries Gels comes in to the ODI side, makes his ODI debut, scores 66 on debut for a famous 10-wicket win over the UAE and Namibia. This was big time, and we didn't lose a game in September. T20, ODI, doesn't matter. We checked every box, whether it was Andries Gels up top the order, whether Saite Jamukamal was making T20 Eyes debuts. We weren't losing, and it felt that this team had finally found the flow and the culture that it found in June in the World Cup.
Yeah, September was a good month for USA cricket. Chasing down Namibia in Windhoek. Namibia put up 199, and USA chased it down in 41 overs. That's a great start there when you're one of the visiting squads. Yeah. And then also, as you mentioned, putting a whooping down on UAE, and then chasing down 286, which is quite a total, down in Windhoek. And so it was a great month, like you said. We could talk at length about how wonderful it was. But yes, we're clamoring for Andres to be put into this squad, because I really feel like, honestly, if you look at his stats on cricket on ESPN Cricket Info, he's a 3 format player.
Yeah, he is.
In South Africa. he didn't lose a beat from T20. Came right in. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. The insurgent Aaman Patel, he was great. Utkarsh Shrivastava was starting to tour with the side, so you're just seeing these guys continue to gel and more guys get in. And just you felt there was a culture brewing and there was a foundation being built with some of the new blood entering in the team. And yes, did it cost some folks some spots? This was a tour without Stephen Taylor.
Yeah.
If we remember, minor league, it was kicking off at this point.
After wondering whether it would.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into all that as well. But this was, things were starting to happen. Aaron Jones wasn't back with the side yet, so a guy like Aaman Patel was starting to make waves with half centuries.
Yeah, we know he's good. He's got such quick hands.
And he was great. He was keeping, and Aaman Patel was in the field, and you're like, well, now there's so much depth, and there's a lot of this, where do you go from here type of mindset, and you just think, okay, October could be a really fun month, and
it was.
It was fun. Maybe not for the men at times.
It started off great. It was fun. It was fun at the start. Well, first of all, we had minor league going on, which is my favorite thing, anyways. I don't want to speak for you.
I love minor league cricket as well. That's the joy. But October for me was the month of Chetna Reddy Puggy.
Oh, good call.
She was the one that was unbelievable, wasn't she? Because all that she did was on debut against a full member in ODI cricket, which she doesn't really play. Scores the highest score on debut in women ODI for any team. First female in the USA to hit a century. And then has the highest individual score in women's ODIs for the USA. That's the highest individual score that there was, period, all calendar year. And it comes from a 16-year-old. This is so exciting to me.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's go back and look at last year when we did our awards show for Big Innings on the podcast.
Don't do this to me, Nate.
No, when we were talking about the young women's players, and you fought really hard for this particular choice, but our domestic player of the year, who was it? For the women?
Our emerging
women's player of the year.
I said to Nate, look, I get that we played under 19 World Cups, we did all this great stuff, but this 15-year-old, I guess at that point, I talked to Sindhu Shiharsha about her at the Women's Nationals, and she said to me that this girl is going to be unbelievable. And I watched her once, and I agreed with her, and it was Chetna Reddy Puggy.
Yeah, that was a great call. That was a good prediction, and we're always happy to put a graphic up that makes you look like a genius.
Well, look, I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't know if it's always that case, but I'll take it. And again, Damon, you're absolutely right. Chetna was an absolute beast in that game. She's got raw power. She's got great hands, great eyes, great feet. And she's going through the gears as well. And so I'm excited to see her career continue.
Long career, let's hope for her.
And also Aditi Chudasama captaining for the first time. Sindhu Shiharsha was scoring heaps of runs. Geeta Gogadali got a fifer down there, so it's good to see that. Yeah. So the women's were starting to stride up. And then minor league started to stride up in the right direction. We were at the tail end of the tournament, but it was business end, and it was high class business.
Yeah, and we were at the minor league Super 8s together, which was a lot of fun. Here's the minor league. This was the draft show, and this is, of course, obviously the winning team, the Kingsmen. Man, they were tough. Now, this is one of the great catches over in the Central. We saw a lot of great stuff from Reuben Clinton this year over in the West, and Skandar Rohit Sharma. Oh, man, was he good. The Baltimore Royals really stepped up this year as one of the elite teams in the league, and we saw them. We got to do some of their commentary at Church Street Park. Obviously, the youth kept it going, but man, how good was? How good were these?
Zaid Alam also. This is a guy that has Major League written all over him, doesn't he? He's just phenomenal.
And of course, we had this amazing Najaf Shah game where the bloody sock game
on one leg. And then Hamad Azam it was a comeback to form for him with the ball in hand. And
he was tremendous.
That Kingsman team couldn't be beat, and this Blazers team made it tough, though. How about this?
They were great in the Super 8s. They made their way to the final, and we saw a lot of look at this beautiful, crazy shot from Hamad Azam in the final.
Pressure innings. Only the fourth minor league cricketer scored a half century
in the game. Was in the balance there.
In the balance. It really had to happen, and it was great to be on call with Brian, with you. There's your player of the match, Hamad Azam. You're going to get to see Tajinder Singh here in a second as well. He was phenomenal straight throughout, dedicated the game to his daughter as well, and I mean, it was phenomenal to see. We both agree minor league is so important because it just elevates the domestic product.
Yeah.
And the great thing to see is the level of minor league. The players
Yeah.
have gotten better every single year.
They're playing for something.
Yeah.
They want to be drafted in the Major League A. They like the pride of it and the difficulty. There are plenty of guys in this league who are on a Major League team or going to stay on a Major League team that play their hearts out in minor league cricket. And that's going to only help everyone else around them, all the young players and everything. Now, we were talking before. You mentioned a player who you thought would be drafted this year. We're going to say Sujit Gowda
Gets back in.
is going to get back in after the season that he had with the return to his old team. I think also, Aakash Gomal, man. I was shocked he wasn't drafted last year.
It'd be hard to look past him. I think Zaid Alam's got a really strong case to get into a side as well.
For sure.
And I know we'll be talking about that all coming in through the first quarter of next year. Let's jump back to international play, because this was the kind of the opposite, wasn't it, in October? As we were having so much success domestically, the whole national setup just kind of got a lot foggy. We're not going to get into all the controversial details, but Stuart Law, coming off of 3 consecutive losses in a T20I series, then a hammering thanks to Scotland, a 10-wicket hammering. And at that point, through all of that, through his 37 total matches, had a winning percentage of 59.38%, and that was a one-day winning percentage of 66.67%. He was let go. He was fired. That happened in October, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen with this USA team? And then they just found ways to get wins. They were able to beat up on Nepal, especially after Nepal got 100 runs, 10 overs, no wickets.
Yeah.
They fought that game. Harmeet Singh was great through that series. Shailesh Skulpik showed great grit. Aaman Patel found form. Shaheen Jahangir found form. And then Utkarsh Srivastava makes his debut. Lost against Scotland, but a half-century on debut. It feels like October was the month of debuts as the USA team get back to the right stage of things.
And not just that, but we had the USA A squad. We've been calling for a long time. We had some tremendous performances during that game. Sanjay Krishnamurthy. We've been asking for the team to put him in, for USA to put him in the team. Somehow he's been the best domestic player this year, and he gets into the team. He got into the team how?
Well, thanks to the USA innings against Scotland, wasn't it?
The USA A innings against Scotland, where Scotland put up over 300 runs in the first inning, and it was like USA A has to try to chase down 300 runs, but anything's possible in Grand Prairie.
And again, Sanjay did it with Utkarsh Srivastava, 2 guys who've come in, made their mark, and I think that was the single most important inning Sanjay played that year, because of the fact that was the innings that was going to get him back into the side.
Yeah.
Score unbeaten, century and a half. And, I mean, he was phenomenal alongside Utkarsh. October was a crazy month. All over the place. Sanjay actually missed out on a half century by, I think, 1 or 2 runs as well. So he got out in the late 40s. But Saimo Kamala found some runs as well towards the back end. So it was a month that was filled with both men and women's cricket, both domestically and internationally. And then November is where we closed the calendar. It was the end of the Cricket World Cup League 2 cycle here in the States. They closed with a win against Nepal to move to the top of the table. And it felt like all happy days going for the international calendar at the end of November.
It really did. It was a great way to end the international tour, I guess, the international season for USA on the right foot, on the front foot, I guess. At the top of the table, the Cricket World Cup League 2 table. Great stuff. Now, it was also tough because they lost 3 games in the T20 to Nepal, so that wasn't a great finish.
Yeah, it wasn't great that side, but the ODI side also remained intact. So let's just jump into December. Not a lot of USA action, but plenty of Americans across the world. Mohammad Mohsin, how's that nap with the Nepal Premier League trophy? He was great, winning it alongside Josh Trump, beating a side that featured, also with Lahiru Malanta, beating a side that featured guys like Brendan McMullen, but what a moment this was for them. Also in the GSL, we saw Sanjay Krishnamurthy and Corey Anderson of Victoria get all the way to the final. Couldn't get over the line yet again, but I mean, it's been great to see Americans overseas in these leagues performing at such a high clip.
Yeah, it was excellent. We saw a lot of the GSL was really fun. Mm-hmm. The Nepal T20 was incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable, and that's your year, Nate. What an unbelievable year we've just witnessed, and we're looking for great things in 2025. But before we go, and you guys can join us in the chat with this as well, Nate, I want to know, give me your top 3 moments personally for you. That could be as a fan, as a contributor, as a whatever the case is. Give me your top 3 moments, or top 5 if you want to extend it out. Top 5 moments of 2024. You guys at home, feel free to drop it into the comments as well. Nate gives it a little.
Okay,
think.
well, one of them's got to be the women winning 2 games against Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Fantastic
Absolutely.
job there. That was tremendous. The first 2 ODIs that they won. The first one was great, but winning the second one to me was like, now they're here. Now they're in the mix. I liked that, but obviously being involved in the World Cup down in Florida, even though we had so much rain, we had such a good time there anyways.
Right.
That's definitely up there. Doing the being involved in minor league again, the Super 8 when we got to do with Brian, we got to do with Faisal.
How was the gas station drinks?
Oh, they were great, man.
They had good sodas over there,
I'll
didn't
tell
they?
you what, you got to be careful with this Brian Walters fella. You got to be careful with him. But yeah, that was another highlight, man. And then USA beating Pakistan, USA beating Canada. Getting to interview Saurabh after all this happened was I was really proud of that. Doing Charlotte Edwards last weekend, interviewing her for Emerging Cricket. Check that out on the Emerging Cricket Big Innings podcast. But yeah, it was just such a great year all the way around. I could probably sit here for another hour.
100%.
How about you? Your turn.
Oh, jeez. Where to start? It has been an incredible year. I think being a part of the World Cup was something quite special. The Pakistan game, the USA-Pakistan game, we had a game down in Barbados. So I was checking my phone, and all of our stuff is pre-game. So I'm checking. I don't really have service. Whatever. I get back into the break room after we finish the anthems and stuff. We walk in, and I finally get Cricket Info open on my phone, get some Wi-Fi, and it's 5 off the last ball. And I was like, oh, okay, who's on strike? Nitish Kumar. Okay, he could do it, but was 5 off the last ball. Yeah. Whatever. Network is slow. I'm refreshing, and then I just see the green 4 light up, and my phone goes straight up into the air. That's a great moment for me.
Shot of the year.
Shot of the year, and then getting to announce to the Crown Barbados that we'd won the Super Over because the producer AJ said it in my ear was quite special as well.
That's so cool.
And then getting to turn 21 in Barbados at the Kensington Oval, right. USA England game. Didn't go through a result, but everyone in the crowd was saying happy birthday. That was really cool. Coming back home after that, getting to be at the World Cup final would be right up there as well. Yeah. But then being part of the broadcast crew in Major League, work alongside, rub shoulders with some of the best in the world. It's a dream come true. Minor League was so special. And then getting to see seeing the women was really cool. Just to see them perform at a high level. Chetna Reddy Pagiyal to get that prediction right. And then I'll throw in doing the Nepal series down in Dallas. I think that's such a special thing.
And then you got to do the Americas.
Going down to Argentina. I had to see something off the list, but Argentina was great. Food there was amazing, and the history of cricket in Argentina is special.
Well, one thing I forgot to mention. When we watched USA versus India.
Oh, this is a great one.
We did this in the hotel down in Florida because we had so much rain. We were stuck in the place.
Yep.
And we just watched the game together. We had Daniel Beswick in there with us. We had some friends from the crew. Emily
Reynolds was in there. Yeah. A couple other folks I think joined in as well at the end.
It was great. It was so good. It was a special thing to be in the. You don't always get to do something like that, and to have so many people from around the world all together, all cheering for the same team.
I tell you what, one of my bigger regrets. I was on the same flight with Harsha Bogle. He was 3 rows ahead of me.
You were on the flight with him too.
Yeah.
Because you saw him in the hotel.
I saw him in the hotel, and I saw him on the flight, and I didn't say a word to him. I was so nervous.
Both times.
Didn't say a single word to him.
We're going to have to train. I'm going to get a Harsha Bogle mask, and I'm just going to surprise you in public every once in a while.
You're going to have to surprise me.
And you're going to have to practice on me. We got a couple cool comments from Damon here.
Yeah, Damon, appreciate this. To both down to the T20 World Cup run, always going to be special. Followed by the Freedom win the MLC. That was great to see that.
Great
and
season.
then the ODI team finishing at the top of the League 2 table in 2024.
Yeah,
special moments all around. Nate,
Huge.
any last words for 24?
No, just stay tuned for 2025. There's plenty of cricket to watch. We're gonna hopefully be here. We can't do every single week because we get busy, but we're gonna try to stick to our Wednesday. Today's a special exception because the Wednesday is the first. But yeah, we're gonna stick to doing this. Join us again.
Yeah, we can't wait. We thank you guys so much for tuning in all of 2024. And from the entire Big Innings crew, myself, Nate Hayes, and Bob Berg, we appreciate you, and we can't wait to see you in 2025.